The Margaret Cho podcast from Erios is funny, sensitive, and a little quirky, just like the comedian herself. Each week, Margaret sits down for an intimate interview with celebrity guests like Queer Eye's Jonathan Van Ness, filmmaker Quentin Tarantino, or up-and-coming artists you should know. The conversations go deep, ranging from discussions about identity and beauty to finding yourself late in life. Listen to The Margaret Cho wherever you get your podcasts. This is a CBC podcast.
This podcast is an extended version of The Debaters, which may contain more mature themes. To stream the radio-friendly version of this episode, download the CBC Listen app or go to cbc.ca/thedebaters. And thanks for listening to the CBC.
Hey Canada, we're drawing on our experience from the picture province, New Brunswick. It's the Debaters! The Debaters, where comedians fight with facts and funny, and this audience picks the winner. Now here's a man who knows how to frame an argument, Steve Patterson.
Hey! Hello, everyone! Hello, Canada! Welcome back to the Debaters. It's great to be here this week in St. John, New Brunswick, a city, yes, there he is, a city steeped in history. Did you know that Canada's first publicly funded library opened here in 1883? Yes! Of course, I don't have to tell you folks here with us tonight that. Many of you were there for that opening and still haven't returned your books, which if just one of you would pay the overdue fees on, could ensure the library here remains publicly funded until at least 2083. That's about what that deserved. Now let's meet two debaters that were overdue to hear. This comedian's act is always on the money, and afterwards he's completely spent. It's Tim Steeves! Tim Steeves! One of our very favorites, Tim Steeves. And during high school drama club, this comic learned the squeaky wheel gets the grease audition. It's Nathan McIntosh! Nathan McIntosh, another Maritimer, come home to battle it out here in the Imperial Theater.
Yes.
Tim, let's talk
how
to
are
you
you, buddy?
first, my friend. I'm great. This is a hometown gig for you.
Pretty much, yeah.
Pretty close. Nathan, you live in New York now, but you are from the Maritimes.
Yeah, I'm from Halifax originally. My whole family is from Miramichi, and yeah, and there they are.
That's
Steve,
it?
Yeah.
That's
They
all of them.
came, thank you.
This topic we think is perfect for here in the Maritimes. When it comes to visiting friends and family at home, should you always call ahead? You're not going to believe this, Maritimers. Some people do that. Personally, I like the spontaneity of a drop-in visit. But professionally, it's a good idea to give a little heads up. For example, if we just showed up here to the Imperial Theater in St. John unannounced, none of you would be here, which would make the audience vote awkward. On the flip side, it would also be very weird if you just dropped into the theater hoping a show that you like was on. And I could tell by the looks on some of your faces, you were thinking this was come from away. Anyway, let's get ready for this. Whereas not everybody enjoys a surprise, be it resolved, when visiting friends and family, it is better to call ahead than to just drop in. Nathan, you're arguing for this. Please, you have 2 minutes, starting now.
Yes. Thank you, Steve. I just want to remind everybody that it is 2019, not 1819. Dropping in was before a time before phones. There are so many ways to get a hold of somebody now. Before phones, everybody just drove around wondering if their friends still liked them. So they pulled in and found out. But now there are so many ways to get a hold of somebody. You can email somebody, you can text, FaceTime, just tweet at somebody, for God's sake. Tom, are you home? # I need your bathroom. these ways to connect. Who just drops in, Tim? It's never the people you want. It's never the hot cashier from Sobeys. It's never the muscular waiter from Swiss Chalet. It's always some garbage heap of a human being. Some third-string cousin, some uncle covered in barbecue sauce, some aunt who thinks she's a healer. Hey, I was just in the neighborhood and I have this big mushroom that cures back pain. Look. Look, Karen, you're not a mystic. You're a kook, all right? And I'm not saying that nobody should be able to drop in. It just be for an important time. Like if you rob a bank, drop in. If you have a story about going to the bank, call. And the people that get it the worst, the people who are always dropped in on, mostly grandparents. People love dropping in on grandparents. These people already raised a full family. And now you're coming to give them your family? Oh, they're old. They're doing nothing. Let's go see what they're scared about today. Do you really think that Grandma is just waiting to make another meal for a kid who doesn't care? Do you think Grandpa is just dying for a toddler to show up? No, they are happy you're gone. They finally have some time to themselves. That's why when you go, they're so comfortable. Grandma doesn't have a bra. Just flopping around. Grandpa's pants need to be pulled up. And now they've got to sit there and be like, oh, yeah, God, I'm so happy that you dropped in. Just don't drop by somebody's house unless you want to see their dropped pants. Thank you very much, everybody.
Nathan McIntosh is against the drop-in. Thank you, Nathan. All right. Now, to tell us why, if he owned a hotel, it would be called the Do Drop In, it's the always hospitable Tim Steeves.
Thank you. I get it. You live in New York City now. I get it, man. Somebody drops in on you over there, you just shoot them in the face through the peephole. I get it. His doorbell is the music from Special Victims Unit. Boom, bum, 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 bum. But we're in New Brunswick, Nate. We're in NB, baby. And we don't just still drop in, we expect to get fed. Let's get some cucumbers and some vinegar around here or something. Come on, you're out for a country cruise, you see Herb Snyder's truck in the yard, you don't break him off 3 or 4 texts and try to set up a play date. You pull in and see if he got his moose this year. What we've got here, Steve, is a loss of the fabric, a fabric that used to keep the community together. Used to be if you hadn't heard from Marjorie in a few days, you'd go check on her. Now you just think she's ghosting you. My wife and I have been married 11 years. Please, visit. Please. Anyone. Come. I understand this sounds crazy to the younger people in the crowd. You guys, you don't even phone each other without 3 warning texts first. You just have to get over the initial shock of someone being at your door. You know, that bing bong. Oh, ah. Calm down. Let's get the heart rate down. Go to the door. Stop playing Candy Saga Crushcraft. It's somebody that cared about you enough to physically come and see you in person. Not drop by your Instagram for 6 to 11 seconds. Come and see you. You know, of your 2,000 Facebook friends, 1,988 of them wouldn't cross the street to spit on your head if your hair was on fire. Impromptu. Off the cuff. That's when all the best stuff happens, right? All your best memories start with, oh my God, then Donnie and Linda showed up with blueberry wine and we played whisk on the back porch. It was the greatest night of my life. Losing the fabric, Steve. Thank you.
Tim Steves. Oh, yeah. Well done. We got ourselves a debate. Hopefully, it's not a bad time, guys, for the bare knuckle round. We're debating if it's better to call ahead than to just drop in on friends or family. So, debaters, does this ring a bell? Thank you. We didn't think anyone would get that. You two hard knocks. You're going to have to be as strong as Popeye the Sailor Man to stay just in the neighborhood of facts and funny on this. Now, maybe that's not what you were expecting, but hey, surprise! And just so you two don't overstay your welcome, I'll ding this bell when it's time for you to go.
Can I, look, I just want to say this whole, living in New York thing, I tried to bring the maritime charm to New York, all right?
That didn't work.
I was stabbed 11 times. I'm bleeding right now, Steve.
No, but also, you're from Halifax originally. That's not a drop-in town either, man. You drop in there, you get a potato peeler in the neck, too,
Because we're doing things, all right?
Why don't we just call this what it is? We should just call this what it is, an attack on the tea industry.
It's true.
Look,
what?
I love a cup of tea. You don't think I love tea? The thing is, anytime somebody drops by, too, they always bring bad food. They show cake, KFC. Like, not only are you just showing up at somebody's house, you're bringing diabetes, man.
No, but sometimes...
Call ahead before you take my foot, all right?
Sometimes there's good reasons to drop in. You're out of beer and calling ahead would just be awkward. You just got to show up and play the odds.
Well, at some point in time, you're going to have to grow up and have your own beer, all right?
You know what ends an argument faster than anything? Company.
Good point.
Well, I guess...
You said that about me to your mother? Hey, look who it is!
Let's see how it feels. Let's see how it feels, Tim.
Hold on. What are you doing? Nathan's going over to Tim's podium.
Now I'm in your house.
Oh, Nathan's at Tim's podium now.
How's this feel? Now I'm on your microphone. How's this?
He's right in Tim's face at Tim's podium. Let's see how Tim handles this.
That's fine. That's fine with me, brother. You're always welcome to share my microphone.
Oh, Tim's taking it all right
Hey,
here.
I don't have very much to offer you. I have a little carrot cake.
Oh, Tim's actually got cake at his podium, which Nathan is accepting. That's the bare knuckle round, everybody. That was a nice ending to that. That ended better than it could have. It is time now for the firing line. In my hand, I have a list of questions on dropping in versus calling ahead, brought to you by Mary Drop-Ins. Mary Drop-Ins. She's super drop-in, not into calling ahead adocious. What does etiquette expert Emily Post say is the exception to the rule of never dropping by unannounced? Nathan?
A booty call.
Tim?
If you ran over their cat.
It's two very different perspectives we're seeing here.
You got to drop in at that point.
Emily Post says the exception to the rule of never dropping by unannounced is when you're meeting a new neighbor. When you're introducing yourself to a new neighbor, right? You can't call ahead. You don't know their number. Finish the title of the Kenny Rogers and the first edition hit. I just dropped in to see what? Nathan?
To see what condition my rotisserie's in.
Very close.
Those were good.
Very close. 3/4 of a point to see what condition my condition was in. According to an advice column in the Globe and Mail, communicating with close neighbors in cottage country in what way is considered creepy? Tim?
Sober.
Good answer. Good answer. By email is considered creepy. What is the name of the tradition in Newfoundland of dressing in a disguise and dropping in on neighbors for drinks? Nathan.
Thursday.
Okay. The audience has given you 2.5. Tim Steves.
I don't know what it's called, but Justin Trudeau shouldn't participate.
The actual answer is mummering. Mummering. You dress in a disguise and then ask for drinks. That's the firing line, everybody. It's just about that magical time where our theater audience picks a winner, but first here again to say that he loves to turn on, tune in, and drop in. It's the always freewheeling Tim Steves.
The drop-in is the ripped-off Band-Aid of visiting. You can't dread my arrival. I'm already here. Being ready to receive company makes you a better person. You know how clean your place is when company's coming? Imagine if it was like that all the time. The constant threat of company would make us a better society. You'd have to get out of your jammies, clean up that pile of crap, put on some pants, face the day with dignity. What are you doing anyway in there? You're so important and can't be interrupted. You're watching Roadhouse for the 44th time. Listen. I get that the Fresh Prince of Hot Air over here...
Slam.
He lives in a gated community in America, and he's long since forgotten how to put the kettle on. I get that. He's got to take the tinfoil off his windows and get back to society. It's time for some introspection. We're losing the fabric. Thank you, Stephen.
Tim Steves. Tim Steves with some great points on why drop-ins should be just fine. Nathan, I can tell he's furious. He's pacing around the entire stage. He
Well,
can't.
how do I
he can't-
live in
Hold
a
on,
gated-
let me introduce you first. You can't just drop into the argument, Nathan. Be ridiculous. Here again to tell us that calling ahead just has a better ring to it, it's our cold caller, Nathan McIntosh.
I'm just trying to figure out how I live in a gated community in New York and have tinfoil on my windows. And can we just take a look at some of the most famous drop-inners of all time? Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, Ted Bundy. These people love to just drop in, and people were so excited to see them. They yelled and screamed with excitement until they were dead. Every horror movie is just a story about somebody dropping in. Ghosts, ghouls. If Jason Voorhees had sent one text, there'd be a lot more college kids having sex in the park, all right? But they're gone. If only John Cabot had given a heads up to the country before he got here, you know? I'm sure the indigenous people would have loved to know that somebody was coming. So just send a note, just something. Reach out and let somebody know you're coming before you measles blanket their entire afternoon. Thank you very much, everyone.
Nathan McIntosh. He says you got to call ahead. All right, audience, it is up to you to pick a winner by applause who thinks that Nathan's pro calling ahead was ahead of the competition. Nathan McIntosh. Some good support. Nice support for Nathan. Yeah. And who thinks Tim saying to drop in was the win? Tim Steves. The audience has spoken. You can drop in anytime. The winner is Tim Steves. Big hand for Tim Steves and Nathan McIntosh, everybody.
You're listening to The Debaters on CBC Radio, and also available anytime on the CBC Listen app. Want to be a part of the debating action? For tickets to an upcoming taping, visit cbc.ca/thedebaters. And now, back to Steve Patterson.
I'm Trina Winter.
And I'm Thomas LeBlanc.
Welcome to Chosen Family. Every second week, we talk about art, sexuality, and identity with a special guest. Usually queer, but not always.
I completely struggled coming out to my parents as a comedian. Being in the entertainment industry for Middle Eastern people is unheard of.
Affecting change requires people to shake it up.
Listen to Chosen Family wherever you get your podcasts.
What sign are you, by the way?
I'm an Aries.
Of course. I love it.
Hey, St. John, are you ready to meet your next pair of debaters? Wow! All right, then. Let's do it. This comedian lost a lot of money at the track watching a train flatten her rare coins. It's Elvira Kurt. Elvira Kurt, one of our very favorites, making her way across the stage to my right. And this comic's high school grades defied climate change by remaining at sea level. It's David Pride. David Pride, the pride of Montreal. Welcome. This topic goes for the gut. Canada's food guide. Do we really need it? For those who don't know, this is a guide put out by the federal government telling you how to eat a healthy diet. Now, they're just suggestions, like when the government suggests you pay your taxes. Only if you ignore the Canada Food Guide, you don't have to hide all your extra food in the Cayman Islands. Anyway, it's time for a healthy debate. So, whereas Canadians have many sources for nutritional information, be it resolved, we no longer need Canada's Food Guide. David, you are arguing for this, please. You have 2 minutes, starting now.
Thank you. All right. Is Canada's Food Guide essential? That depends. People often sell things as necessary when they're not. I saw someone selling the Essential Pauly Shore collection on DVD. I assume it consisted of the film Encino Man and a brick of hash. Yeah, some things are not necessary. The Canada Food Guide is not necessary. In fact, nutritionists have historically condemned the guide for contributing to obesity. Contributing, that's like learning that the Bible contributes to heavy metal music. Which it does. No, it's true. If you look at groups like Judas Priest and Black Sabbath and Peter, Paul, and Mary, they say the guide doesn't distinguish between good fat and bad fat. We don't even need a guide for this. Like Canadians, we inherently know like bad fat is candy and good fat is John Candy. Oh, incidentally, this is interesting. Nutritionists cite the Brazil Food Guide as a model example of producing lean, fit citizens, which makes sense. When I think trim, I think Brazilian. Guidelines change constantly. You notice this? It's always like, oh, eggs are good. No, now eggs are bad. Cut down on coffee. Caffeine sharpens the mind. Milk has calcium. Don't drink from the carton. Honey, we're never spontaneous anymore. Get your hands off me. Yes, good. Look, I grew up with 4 food groups: fruit and vegetable, dairy, bread, and upset a vegan. And that's all I needed. I ate sensibly when I was hungry or bored or happy or sad or alone. And that common sense approach produced the bright, vibrant 22-year-old you see before you today. Thank you.
David Pride. David Pride, arguing that we don't need the Canada Food Guide. Now, To tell us why she's proud to defend the CFG on the CBC, it's our MVP, Elvira Kurt.
We need the food guide. Since 1942, it's been the Canadian government's way of saying, I love you. Now eat. Eat! You don't look so good. Eat! Paternalism has never been so maternalistic. But now, what? Suddenly we know better? How narcissistic. I will admit the previous food guide was not nearly as healthy as the current one. That one had the categories dairy, meats, and Nanaimo bars. The new food guide has a hip, chill vibe. Gone are strict rules about portion size, replaced by casual lifestyle suggestions like cook more often, eat meals with others, and choose whole grain munchies for when the pot brownies kick in. As a proud Canuck and legal U.S. resident, I appreciate the level of hand-holding the Canadian government does with its citizens in general. On Canada.ca, there's a whole page on the benefits of hand-washing. Hand-washing! The U.S. doesn't look after its people like that. Under the current administration, the U.S. food guide is a picture of an eagle with a Big Mac in one talon and a shotgun in the other. Yeah. And the eagle, he's sneezing openly. Like not even into a wing or anything. The Canada Food Guide is the one part of the government that's always been there for us. It cares. It's like Canada's mom. Sure, she's not perfect, and sometimes her advice hides a secret political agenda or is a bit out of date. But if mom goes, guess who's left? Mom is the only one paying attention to us. We need her. The Canada Food Guide. It's as plain as the hole in your face. Thank you.
Elvira Kurt. Nicely done. Wow. Thanks, Elvira. All right. It is time now for the bare knuckle round. We are debating whether we need Canada's food guide. So listen up, you mixed nuts. I have a grain of truth for you both. It's okay to be shellfish as you air your beefs while cutting your opponent off at the manganese.
Wow. Wow.
People might ask, dare he say it? Yes, I dare. I dare say that hydrate you both as hilarious. That last one wasn't good for anybody.
Well, way to go.
Thank you. One for me.
Guides, like they keep putting out these guides for and we don't need any. I saw online they have the essential guide to getting pregnant. Like I'm told you can just ask any teenagers at Rockwood Park. Like, you don't need it.
You apparently read the guide to pandering to the audience.
Yeah.
That's the one guide you did read.
I don't.
Is it guides?
No,
Is
I just
guides
hate.
your
Look,
problem?
it happened. Okay, 2 years ago, a bunch of girl guides. They sold me cookies, and I got sick off them, and they didn't know jack about food, clearly. So I.
Really, David? The girl guides were who you were looking to for nutritional information? How many cookies did you eat?
I bought like 10 servings, I guess. Of, and I know what to eat.
What? What do you know what to eat? Have you eaten here?
Yes. I mean, I had a donaire over at Freddy's today. It cost me like a mortgage payment, but it was worth it.
Right? Which food group was that?
All of them. Thank you.
That's the bare knuckle round, everybody. It's time now for the firing line. In my hand, I have a list of questions on Canada's food guide brought to you by Canada's Girl Guides, who just want to say, thanks for buying all those cookies, Dave. In 1977, Canada's Food Guide removed a recommendation to eat what every day? Elvira.
Count Chocula cereal. Frankenberry?
Elvira?
Blueberry?
Are you going to go through all of them?
No, I'm done.
Incorrect. David Pride.
Yellow snow.
It's the weirdest big reaction I've ever heard. 2 points. Don't eat the yellow snow. No, in 77, Canada's Food Guide removed a recommendation to eat potatoes every day, and that was the beginning of the end for my Irish ancestors. In September 2019, Conservative leader Andrew Scheer pledged to review Canada's Food Guide. What did he say chocolate milk did for him personally? Elvira.
Prove that he's not racist.
Elvira's taking a bow for that one. Elvira is bowing to the entire theater. She's out from behind the podium. A rare 4-point answer on our show. Andrew said that chocolate milk saved his picky eater son's life. Chocolate milk saved his life. In 1993, CBC Marketplace co-host Bill Paul commented that the Food Guide was so beholden to lobbyists that the 4 food groups should be renamed what? David.
War, pestilence, death, and Maple Leaf Foods. Threw that in, yeah.
3 points. 3 points.
I was going to say famine at the end, but famine as a food group doesn't make sense. So.
4 food groups should be renamed, according to Bill Paul in 1993, the 4 special interest groups.
Ooh.
Yeah. That's the firing line, everybody. It is almost time for our beautiful Imperial Theatre audience to pick a winner. But first, here again to tell us that she's along for the ride with Canada's Food Guide, it's the nutrient-rich Elvira Kurt.
So maybe we don't need Canada's Food Guide. Health advice from some dumb poster? Please. Now we have the internet for that. Thank you, Jenny McCarthy and Gwyneth Paltrow. Who needs science when we have you two? We also have our circle of friends for health tips. Without my besties, I wouldn't know about the miracle that is kombucha. Just thinking about that fact makes me gag. And let's not forget vegans. Who will speak for the vegans? Not me. Health Canada says the goal of the Food Guide is getting Canadians to eat well. In the land of poutine, bacon, and maple syrup, there's no way it'll work. But hey, it's a noble goal. Let's face it, without the Canada Food Guide, we're nothing. Or worse, we're America. Thank you.
Elvira Kurt. Yeah. Bringing it home. Bringing it home. You cut deep. You cut me deep there. Well done. Now, here again to tell us that he'd be fine if the guide died, it's the good and good for you, David Pride.
New Brunswick. I have been to Moncton, Fredericton, Sackville, St. John, Amherst, Nova Scotia. Sorry, I don't know why I mentioned that last one. That didn't make... That's where you end up with a lousy guide. Oh, yes. Thank you. Okay. Slow burn. Okay, I'll take it. Look, I've learned that this province can't be schooled about food. Your fried clams are world famous, second only to Brazilian clams. Thank you. Yeah. Be proud, yeah. The Common Donaire has all the food groups, a wrap for the bread, for the meat, lamb, moose, something dead. The sauce is, I'll guess, dairy? And for the vegetables, just finish off with a side order of dulse. Yeah, sounds much swankier than seaweed. Or something like fiddleheads, or just some Export A green unfiltered cigarettes. So eat, drink, and be merry, and let your clogged, arrhythmic, beautiful heart be your guide. Thank you.
David Pride says no to the food guide. Now, it is up to the audience to decide. You have heard both sides. By applause, who thinks that David's anti-guide goofs got this one right? David Pride against the guide. Yeah. All right. Big support for Dave. Okay. And who thought Elvira's pro-guide guffaws were greater? Elvira Kurt. There's good support on both sides, but we're going to give this one to David Pride. We don't need the food guide. Big hand for David Pride and Elvira Kurt, everybody. Well, that's all for this week. I'm Steve Patterson saying, remember, you are what you eat. So if you meet someone you admire, ask if you can chew their ear off. I'll argue with you again soon, Canada. Good night.
The Debaters is created by Richard Side. This week's episode was produced by Graham Clark, Nicole Callender, and Josh Bailey, with technical production by Pat Martin and Larry Walker. Tracy Rideout is the executive producer of CBC Radio Comedy. And thanks to everyone at the Imperial Theatre in St. John. Hey, Debaters fans! Want to be a part of the debating action? Visit our website for a list of upcoming shows across the country. We're at cbc.ca/thedebaters.
For more CBC podcasts, go to cbc.ca/podcasts.